It Up mornings, y'all. I'm Erica Campbell, loving Jesus and loving you. And we've been talking about how it's going, how it started, and how it's going.
Right.
And we usually just give a read, but we have a real live version of how it's going. We're excited to talk to Juan Winans from the legendary Winans family. I'm a huge fan. We know that they've done monumental things in the entertainment industry, not just in music, but in so many other areas. And the Winans legacy continues with Juan Winans. How are you this morning, Juan?
Erica, I'm great. I'm a little bit disappointed because I feel like, so much of the real show happens before we press record. there's so much happening beforehand.
We're professional now. Okay.
We're going.
I don't want to be professional.
I saw Erica give me the reel it in black woman hand, so I'm going to reel it in.
I don't want to reel it in. I want to know how long you lived in that dungeon you broadcasting from right there.
This is my white wall. This is my interior brick wall. And behind it, there's a bunch of gear that nobody wants to see.
Absolutely. We understand.
Thank you, GRIFF, for pointing that out. I'm not actually incarcerated. I've never been locked up. I'm a free man in Jesus and in the natural.
Yes, I love it. So let's talk a little bit about the group we came to know first, and that's the Winans. Introducing the Winans happened before you were born. But how did that record impact you?
Oh, introduce. So I think the question is on that album, and I mean it's the beginning of the world getting to know the Winans music and them having that ability to express something that they had been doing for many years prior. Erica, everybody knows this. If you've ever had any sort of level of success, it doesn't matter how much it appears to be overnight. It's never overnight. You've been working, you've been singing in services, you've been singing at somewhere to kind of hone this craft and perfect what it is you do. And then at that moment, through Andre Crouch, really discovering them and hearing them sing backstage at a concert somewhere, I forget what city, signed them, thought that they had God's anointing and God's purpose in their music. And that's the rest really is history.
Wow. I've heard so many stories, even about your grandfather driving them to Los Angeles. Just amazing stories, but with so much richness in your family. Did you feel pressure to sing, or did you want to sing?
No, I did not want to sing. And actually, a funny story, Erica, is that the first time I ever sang in the studio was with somebody that you'll know, an album that my dad is carving, and he was producing this kid's album with Chip Fields.
Oh,
yeah. Wow. I had to be maybe 5 or 6.
Now, Chip Fields is Kim Fields' mama, right?
Kim Fields' mom, who's an actress and a
producer,
an extraordinary talent in her own right. But they're producing this kid's album, and my dad, basically at this point, I was 5 or 6, said, "Hey, I want you to sing this song." And when I tell you, it was the most unpleasant experience for all parties involved. There were so many tears. It was dreadful.
No.
It was horrible. No. I hated every moment. But I finished the song. I'm crying in the booth. I can still see this booth. The tears coming down my. You're wondering what the like it was horrible.
Tortured.
Right? At that point, my dad had the wisdom and the foresight to say, you know what? Let's not make him sing. I think he sensed that there was a talent there, that maybe even there was some purpose in it and calling from God. But he never made me sing from that moment. And then probably about 10, 11 years later, I started to feel God calling me to do this when I was about 16 or 17. And that's when Winans Phase 2 happened. And, for me, I think my dad understood I needed to, I needed to own this. I needed to feel like God was calling me, and it had to be my choice, my decision.
Yeah. But if it's God's choice, it's really not your choice.
And he knew that, right?
Yes, he knew that. He knew that. Tell us something about the Winans family that we don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Come on.
That's hard. They've been in the public eye for so. Oh, you know what? The Winans family, if you don't know this, Erica kind of knows everything about our family because she's kind of a part of it. She
be playing it off. I know. She just I already know. It's funny to watch her go, tell us. Yeah.
Like we about to go.
How is BeBe to you?
Right? No. Something that maybe even Erica doesn't know. The Winans family is competitive, probably to a fault. Probably in a very unhealthy way. I think that most people wouldn't guess that most of the Winans are pretty introverted.
Wow.
Pretty private, pretty kind of like solitude. I don't know if that's because you grow up with so many people that you're just like, give me my space. But I think most of the Winans would probably test as introverts. And then we talked about this before we got on. The Winans don't give straight compliments.
What you mean? What you mean?
So,
Explain
what
that.
I mean by that is that, BeBe, I'll just use BeBe. We'll pick on BeBe for a second. BeBe's never going to walk up and be like, you sounded really good. That was fantastic. Right? That's a straight compliment. He's going to say, well, you okay. You woke
practicing.
up. What'd you say?
You've been practicing.
Exactly. Oh, you've been practicing, huh?
Yes.
And it's like, that's his way of sound. You sounded really good up there.
Right.
So we don't do straight compliments.
No. Yeah.
I don't know if that's a godly trait or not. But
you have to speak Winans when you come around them, or you'll be like, what?
That's funny.
This is true.
I'm learning to speak Winans. I'm getting pretty good at speaking Winans.
Well, the Atkins, y'all got your own your little daggers.
This is true.
Yes. So those are a few things that maybe people aren't aware of.
Wow. So listen, you got the pleasure of playing BeBe Winans and the musical Born for This, the BeBe Winans story. What was that experience like for you? And Joy played CeCe. So how was that for you guys?
It was a great experience. First of all, it was my first time ever being on stage in a musical. So that's it. So that in and of itself was just a completely different universe for me. Blocking and this and choreography and night out. I mean, I think I sang 22 songs every night.
Ooh,
8 times a week.
Wow.
Yeah, and they weren't. So it's BeBe wrote all these songs. So they're not like small songs. It's big. A lot of work. That was brand new for me. I learned a ton doing that. But I think what was special is learning more about BeBe and CeCe's own maturation process and how they became a group. They went down to PTL. BeBe was just going basically to be CeCe's older brother and protect her. My grandfather said she's not going by herself, and in fact, you're going. And he was like, but they didn't pick him. They didn't think he could really sing, believe it or not.
What?
They didn't think BeBe at that time. Yeah, they weren't ready. He wasn't ready for prime time. But he went down there, and Jim Baker heard him singing and said, oh, you two are a group. He's responsible for them being a duo. That's Jim and Tammy Faye are the people that God used to launch this career. And there's a movie out, and I haven't seen it. I'm not knocking this movie, but there's a movie about Tammy Faye out right now.
I saw it. And she's nominated. She's nominated for the Oscar.
She's nominated for an Oscar.
Best actress. It was amazing.
I hope that it's positive, because sometimes we're human beings, so we make mistakes, and too often people like this, they get characterized. But these people were people that God used to birth a generation of music and put these two people together. They had that vision, they had that foresight. And so a lot of it is about kind of paying homage to them as well. Learning all of that was an amazing experience. And then obviously having BeBe say, now you sound a little like me, but you're not me.
That's that whining. That's that whining right there.
There you go. That reminder. So no, it was great. It was fantastic. I love performing with Joy. Joy is super talented on stage. She taught me so much. That's her lane. She has her master's in theater. So it was a great exchange every night, and I had a ton of fun.
So now that we know how it started, and Griff, I'm gonna let you ask a question. I promise I am. Let's talk a little bit about how it's going. This next generation of Winans and entertainers and singers and songwriters and producers. So many of you, a lot of you may not know. Some of the younger Winans have written on the last few Mary and Erica Campbell records. And so seeing you as an artist now is awesome. But tell us how it feels to be a solo artist. Well, you're kind of a solo, kind of not, because you do duos. And how do you feel about this whole situation?
Well, honestly, collaborating is one of my favorite things. And I will say, I'm not just saying this because it's you either. Probably my most enjoyable collaborative experiences working and writing for other artists is with you and Tina. And with it's always been a blast doing that. Because I learned so much. Warren is like my mentor, and he's like a big brother. He's taught me so much about making music. But yeah, as a solo artist, it's very different than being in Winans Phase 2. It's different than singing with Lisa.
Mhm.
It's its own thing. You just have to kind of approach it a different way. But I never feel like I'm alone. I always feel like there are people that I love to collaborate with. I love singing with Joy. I love singing with Lisa. It Belongs to Me was probably the most special moment for me, being able to have my Uncle Marvin in the studio singing a song that I wrote.
Wow.
Was kind of like mind blowing. And him
Yeah.
saying, "No, Juan, like, what do you want me to sing?" I'm like, you say whatever you want to
You're
sing. I
Marvin.
can't tell you what to say. No, but like, so that experience for me was really a dream come true. People may assume that, oh, this is your family, you're going to work with them, it's easy, but they all have their own things. And
sure.
just like anybody else growing up, I grew up with a lot of adoration and admiration and respect for these people. And so to be able to reach out and have those moments where we sing together, write together, and then also being able to write for people like you and Layla Hathaway, it really is, it never gets old, ever.
Do you think the next generation will carry on the same legacy?
I do.
Or will y'all
I
drop the
strongly
ball
believe.
and nobody will remember the Winans ever?
Griff.
Well, the thing is this. I think what I had to settle into as the more I've done this is that God actually brought a scripture to mind in like a time period where Moses was leading the Israelites out of Egypt. And the Bible later says in the New Testament, there's never been a prophet like Moses, right? So he has his own lane. But I realized I don't have to be Moses. There is a Joshua. There's another generation that still has a role to play in leading God's people into his presence through song and leading them to their own personal promised land. So that's kind of how I view the next generation of Winans and myself, is that I'm just carrying this torch. It's an honor. It's a massive responsibility, but I have my own place. I have my own lane. I don't have to be, and I can't be BeBe or CeCe or Marvin. But that's not really my calling and responsibility. I'm Juan, and I have something I believe great to offer.
I love it. Griff, do you have a question? After I've asked everything, sorry.
No, first of all, the Atkins and the Winans go way back. So for me, it's also, I'm on the side going, this is so cool. Mary talking to a Winan like this. Dog, can I just tell you, it's all right. Send me. I was really finding Christ and really learning about Jesus hard. I wasn't Kojic and everything. Y'all's whole family know Jesus from fetus. I was learning in 99 and 2000, and that song blessed me, homie. I promise. Don't laugh, Juan. Hold on.
Fetal worshipers.
Fetal worshipers.
This how they do it.
Yeah. I love it, Griff. It's a
Juan, is it like a underground fraternity of famous kids from famous people? Like, are you friends with kids from the Commodores and New Edition and the Pips? Do you know some Pips kids?
I don't. This sounds like a reality show, though. I think that this is a fantastic idea for a show, like the sires of famous people come together and make mischief. I'm down for that. I like it.
Juan,
no.
We'll talk after this.
He can talk about Krista. She's like, that's not a show. We're not doing that.
Tell the people how they can follow you on social media and keep up with what you're doing.
Everything is just my name, Juan Winans. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Juan Winans. And I'm excited. I'm wrapping up my solo debut album the end of March 31st. I have to turn in my mixes. Erica, you know what this pressure is like, to turn in my mixes. Yes. So the album will be out in late June. I'm excited about it. It's called Legacy. It's obviously about my legacy as a member of the Winans family, but it's also about my legacy as a husband, as a father, my legacy as a Black man in America, and what that's like on a regular basis. So I hope everyone will tune in and kind of take this journey with me.
Well, Juan, what's the pressure? What's the pressure of turning in mixes? Everybody isn't Erica and no production stuff.
People basically calling you every day asking you, have you done your job?
Yes. So you record the song.
Right.
The songs have to be mixed. then the songs have to be mastered, and then they get put out. So it's just a whole lot of process.
The process.
You have to get all the writing information, all the credits, all the lyrics, you have to do all those things. Well, they don't really do thank yous like that anymore because it's not packaging. But there's a lot that goes into it. So I understand the pressure beyond recording the album. But we wish you the best when it's all done. Of course, you can shoot us some music over here. Get Up Mornings. We got you covered as usual.
Will do. Erica, Griff, love y'all. Thank you for having me. It's always fun.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. Get Up Mornings.